yes, Hominets is gonna be sick. I'm gonna pop like 15 pairs of 14s in the V8 Skyline. It's gonna be off the charts. Yeah, g'day. How the bloody hell are ya? Welcome back to another video, where today we will be introducing the new car. I know, pretty highly anticipated stuff. Not actually sure if it's anticipated at all, but there are a few people who have been asking some questions, mostly along the lines of, what are you doing, why have you bought that piece of shit, and how the hell did you get it past the missus? Which we'll all go over. All will be covered, all will be revealed in this video. So before we get into it, I think the best way to go about it will be, we'll start with the bad news first. We'll start with the outside, and then we'll move our way into the inside, where things are looking a little bit better. I can't put this off forever, so yeah. Behold the Transformer and all its glory. Yeah. Yes, those are what you're thinking. Yes, they are. Approximately 4,000 to be precise. So, old mate reckons. What would possess someone to do this to a car? I just don't know. The sad thing about it is that it is actually really straight. Like these corner panels and the doors and everything are pretty bloody tidy, but they will all be going. So I think the best way I've decided to tackle this is to basically replace all the panels, which isn't too bad. That'll be quite easy. Well, it'll be a hell of a lot easier than welding and bogging the holes or skimming or whatever. Like, there'd just be so much effort and bloody work that would go into that. Yeah, I sort of started pulling it apart this weekend. I just sort of got a bloody weird bit going ho on it, and it sort of hit me halfway through. I was ripping it apart, then I was like, this is probably the stuff that I should be filming because this is part of the build, but then it wasn't that interesting. I was just taking panels off and just sort of discovering the flaws of it all, I guess. But as you may have seen from the thumbnail, it did used to have some form of V8 in it, a 302 supercharged version to be precise, I think is what the guy said. Well, that's what it says on the cert plate anyway. So obviously it did not that long ago apparently have a WAF, so it was effectively like a WAF reg cert body. Oh, g'day. What do you know, an RB20 dog has appeared. And what was I saying? Oh yeah, so the initial plan was that I'd get another one that was even more flogged out than the red one, and that would be the track car. But I soon found that you buying any of these things that are like de-regged, they need a lot of work, even to make able to be a drift car. Like, there's so much rust. It wasn't funny. There was one that I nearly bought for like a little bit less than what I paid for this, but there was just a ridiculous amount of work. All this loom, well, I'll just probably rip all this out. I'll get another subframe because someone's modified the subframe for some kind of yank tank sort of setup. Yeah, this will all effectively come out, and I'll probably get it all painted properly, or maybe I'll paint the bay. There's a few little rust repairs that are kind of niggly. They very typical place for R32s to rust out, in the windscreen holder or whatever the hell you call this piece. But yeah, I will probably pull the screen, rust protect it all, do a few little bits and pieces. But on the scale of sort of the general basis of the car, it's not that bad. It does have mint Series 1 headlights, which are pretty hard to find these days, or people are wanting crazy money for them. It does have 5-star, which is a plus. That was going to be a bit of a nightmare trying to go through that again, trying to find it for cheap, because that shit's expensive these days. Initially he thought it had adjustees, but it doesn't, so those are for sale and will be sold soon. One notable point though is I have never seen someone mount a bloody side skirt like this guy had. There's a piece of the skirt there still attached. He had what I believe is some form of Gorilla Glue or Gorilla Grip, and that shit was not coming off. She was on there. So the side skirts ended up coming off in 3 pieces. I sort of thought that maybe I might be able to reuse them because they were the same style as the ones that I run on the red car, and I thought, oh yes, sweet, might get some spares. Be able to, you know, drill all the rivets out. Obviously they had rivets too. Drill all the rivets out, fiberglass the back of it, and then give it a skim. Mint. But they ended up coming off in about, I think it was 4 pieces. So yeah, that won't be happening. Here's the guards, and you'll see that the front piece of the skirt is still attached. And oh yeah, and that's all the pieces of side skirts there. So I did film me taking that stuff off, but I sort of convinced myself out of it pretty quick. That shit's pretty boring. No one really cares. So I sort of thought I'd get it to this point. I gave it a water blast yesterday afternoon. I still want to actually rotisserie it, like turn it up on its sort of side and give it the full going over. But I don't know like the logistics of doing that. Like I need to find someone with a forklift, or I need to find maybe a local Fijian rugby team that can just bloody fucking lift it up, angle it off the house, I guess. Yeah, I don't even know. I just don't know how that would happen. I could see a car going through a window, and Mrs. would be stoked. But you know, you take away the rivets and you sort of do a few bits here and there, you know, paint job, and I should be $1 million. I had the vision, whereas a lot of people said, they're like, well, how do you look at that thing? How do you look at that thing? Well, it's quite simple. You just look at it with your eyes, and you look at another R32 that you like, well, for instance, there's a relatively good looking one sitting in the shed, so you look at that one and you look back, and then you think, shit, it's kind of like the same car. I'm just going to do it a different style. Like this one will be, actually no, I'm not going to give that away, but this one will be a different style, I'll say that much. The immediate problem, or the main problem with the body, is these little numbers here, because obviously this is part of the body, and I'm not too sure what I'm going to do about these ones. Will be sweet. Me and the boys have come up with a plan, or the boys have come up with a plan. I don't know what I'm doing with this shit, but back block it with like an alley block or a copper block, and then tack all the holes effectively. But I sort of gave it a bit of a test run. I'm not really much of a welder. Well, I give things a go, but not this kind of to this level, and it just warped. Like the panel steel sort of warped, but I don't know, the boys seem to think that they could do it, or they seem confident, so that's good. That's all I want to know. But all else fails, I reckon that you could just wide body it, which would cover up the problems. So that is sort of one idea that I have been playing with. Another thing that most of you will notice is that it has coupe lights. Now, a lot of you will know, or some of you will know, if you know Skylines, that these things don't just bolt up. They are completely different to the 4-door lights. They are bigger, coupe lights are way bigger, and the whole mold is different. So what they've done, I think, is, well, this is a 4-door boot, so they've cut it out. Like this usually comes straight down on an angle like that, and it finishes. It's a completely different setup. Here we go. I think I've actually got some to show you, so you'll be able to see what I mean. Also, mention worthy sound system and battery in the boot, and there's a floor pan that still exists. It's just a little bit of surface rust, give it a bit of a tidy up. But another problem with these things is that these just disappear. So that was kind of glad that that was still existent. But yeah, here's what I'm talking about anyway. So that's a 4-door light. Here we go. That's a Four-door coupe. Four-door coupe. So you can obviously see that there's a hell of a lot of difference there. The whole sort of style is completely different, and they don't just bolt in, so they've kind of hoaried something up to make them work, and I don't know if I'm yet going to persist with running them or not, but it's a bit of a pain in the ass, because now to convert them back to the four-door lights, you need to, I don't know, they've cut stuff out of the whole rear panel, so that'll be a bit of a mish. But then if I stick with these, I'm obviously going to get rid of this, so I'd have to change. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot to think about. There's a hell of a lot to think about. Yeah, so moving along, more rivets, and a few more rivets there. Moving into the interior, which is definitely part of, well, the best part of the car, I guess you could say. It's pretty bloody good, like really good. I don't think it's a GTST car, like it's not the turbo version of the car, but it's had the whole interior swapped into it. Yeah, you can clearly tell that those are GTST seats, and it even has the GTST rears, and they are immaculate as well. Give you a bit of a look there. But yeah, they're pretty mint, and we'll definitely be retaining this. I showed you earlier. Oh yeah, bit of unce. Get the bloody bitches in the back going. Rattle some number plates to death, and quite a setup of gauges. I really like how he's gone for not one particular brand, he's really mixed it up. I think these three are actually all auto gauge, but they're of the different series, so really like what he's done there. And there's also a SAS tacho gauge, which, yeah, not really much to say about that. And I think there's actually a wideband in there, a little F-fuel ratio cluster itself. The backing plate is pretty rubbish, but like I've got a few spare. It's even got one of these little guys, which I feel like that's the first thing to go, and people usually whack a gauge in there. Here we have some lovely GK Tech mirrors, I think they are. I think they're GK Tech mirrors, I'm not really sure. I don't really know them too well, but they look roughly like the ones on the website, or a bunch of the Drifty Boys run. Yeah, there's a bit to figure out. There's a bit of work, and by a bit I mean a lot, but it'll definitely be a bit of a labour of love. Like nothing's going to be happening immediately. I think I had a lot of time on my hands, and I convinced myself that another one is a good idea, and then once I got it here in the driveway, I soon thought, shit, it's really something having another one here. And now you'll see that I have pretty much taken up the driveway with this one, and of course, who could forget, the star of the show. But yes, with parts waiting, like stuff just takes ages. I thought that the motor for the Skyline, for the red one, would be done ages ago, but it just takes time. Like for all the little bits to turn up, ended up sort of getting a little bit carried away, but not too carried away, because kind of is still, I mean, I love RB20s, but for the sake of what the car is going to be, I think it's... Bloody missus just got home. Bloody open the gate. Rude. Does she not know I'm a big YouTuber now? The nerve of the woman. Come on. Get out. What do you have to say for yourself? Interrupting.
Sorry.
What do you think of the new car? Or any opinion.
Like bogan on toast.
Bogan on toast. Bogan on toast. You heard it here first. Bogan on toast. That's alright. She doesn't know. She doesn't know. You just wait. It's gonna be sick. Yes, so that's basically it in a nutshell. I did want to just give it a brief overview because you can see where it is now, and as, yeah, like all the other cars now, as things happen, I will document it as well. And the next few episodes, shit, I even might do some things. Like, I know it's just been a lot of talking and a lot of introductions, but we're not getting, there's no more cars arriving for a little while now, so there's nothing else to introduce. And we might actually get us some stuff, automotive things, maybe even bloody reach some spanners. As for motors, I have been looking at doing an RB25 plus T. I think will be the way. I take it back to its somewhat originality. Who knows, maybe I might even get delusional and think about an SR, or I don't know, maybe even a Honda. All of that sounds like far too much to think about for now. I'll just plod along and do all the, probably the boring stuff, but once I get it once I get some doors, and once I figure out the rear corners, I'll sort of, yeah, make a bit more of an assessment when the time gets closer. But yeah, there's a fair bit to go over and sort of give it a bit of a general bloody tidy up. But I guess the next big priority will be to get that one going, because yeah, COVID restrictions in New Zealand have nearly all lifted now. So yeah, I would have liked to have it sorted by now. I sort of took advantage of the big lockdowns, I guess, and do it properly, and wasn't going to get fear of missing out because there were no events happening. But that's all nearly come to an end, and the motor's not really ready. So big updates, big build things happening on that soon, which will definitely be the progression, I think. So yeah, but thank you for watching anyway, and seeing how much of a idiot I am, as a lot of you are probably thinking. Oh my god, what's this clown doing? But that's all good. That's all good. That doesn't matter. That's for me to worry about and you guys to find out. The future, it is. So until then, we'll see you around. Peace.
Show me your genitals. Your genitals. What? Show me your genitals. Genitalia. Show me your genitals. Your genitals. What? Show me your genitals. Genitalia. You're talking to me about stuff. Why? I'd rather see your